The email wasn't supposed to be sent to me, but when a pharmaceutical executive accidentally CC'd me on internal communications about Project Evergreen, I discovered something that will make your blood boil. While diabetics were rationing insulin during the 2022 shortage, some dying because they couldn't afford their medication, I watched these executives calmly discussing their backup protocol. Not a backup plan to help patients, a backup plan to protect their profits. You see, they've been secretly developing something for over a decade, something that could make insulin obsolete, something that works better, costs pennies to produce, and has zero side effects. But here's the sick part. They've been stockpiling it, not to help you when the next shortage hits, but to control the market when insulin becomes unavailable. They want you dependent. They want you desperate. They want you to pay whatever they demand. But tonight, I'm breaking my silence. I'm going to expose their Project Evergreen. I'm going to reveal the natural compound they're hiding. And I'm going to show you how to get your hands on it before they patent it and jack up the price by 10,000%. This might be the most important video you'll ever watch, because what I'm about to share could free you from the insulin trap forever. My name is Dr. Benjamin Carter, and I spent over 2 decades inside the pharmaceutical industry before I became a whistleblower. Over the course of this documentation, I'm going to expose the most shocking cover-up in medical history. I'm going to reveal how Big Pharma has been secretly developing and stockpiling a plant-based insulin alternative. One that works better than synthetic insulin, costs pennies to produce, and has virtually no side effects. And I'm going to show you how to get your hands on the exact same formula they're keeping for themselves. This information could save your life. It could save your family's life, and it could free you from the insulin dependency trap forever. So please, watch this entire presentation, because by the end, you'll understand why they're so desperate to keep this information buried, and you'll have the power to break free from their system once and for all. But first, let me paint you a picture of what's really happening behind the scenes. Right now, as I'm speaking to you, there are only 3 companies in the entire world that control 90% of the global insulin supply: Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk, Sanofi. That's it. And they've built their empires on a product that was discovered over 100 years ago, patented briefly, then deliberately given away to ensure it would always be affordable and accessible. But that's not what happened, is it? Instead, these companies have turned insulin into the most profitable drug in history. They've manipulated the patent system, created artificial scarcity, and jacked up prices by over 1,200% in the last 2 decades. A vial of insulin that cost $21 in 1999 now costs $275. The same exact product. And here's the terrifying part. It's only getting worse. In 2019, Hurricane Maria knocked out a major insulin production facility in Puerto Rico. Shortages lasted for months. In 2020, COVID-19 disrupted supply chains worldwide. Diabetics were rationing their insulin, skipping doses, some even died. In 2021, a ransomware attack on a pharmaceutical supply company caused nationwide shortages. And in 2022, baby formula wasn't the only thing in short supply. Insulin shortages hit 47 states. Each time, the same pattern played out. Panic. Price spikes. People dying. But what if I told you that during each of these crises, pharmaceutical executives were completely calm? What if I told you they weren't scrambling to increase production or find alternative suppliers? What if I told you they were quietly moving resources towards something else entirely? Something they've been developing in secret for over a decade. You see, back in 2017, I was working as a senior researcher at one of the world's largest pharmaceutical companies. I can't name them for legal reasons, but let's just say their logo is recognized in every hospital in America. I was part of a black budget research division, the kind of work that doesn't show up in annual reports or FDA filings. Our official mandate was to investigate alternative therapeutic approaches for metabolic disorders. But our real job was to find Big Pharma's backup plan, because they knew something the public didn't. The insulin supply chain was incredibly fragile. All it would take was one major disruption, a terrorist attack, a cyber hack, a natural disaster, and millions of people would be left without their life-saving medication. That's when my team stumbled onto something extraordinary. We were analyzing compound libraries from traditional medicine systems around the world, looking for molecules that might have insulin-like properties. What we found changed everything. Hidden in the remote regions of India, Ayurvedic healers had been using a remarkable plant called Gymnema sylvestre, literally meaning sugar destroyer, to treat what they called madhumeha, or sweet urine disease, for over 2,000 years. When we ran this plant through our lab analysis, we couldn't believe the results. It contained bioactive compounds that not only mimicked insulin's effects, but actually regenerated pancreatic beta cells, the very cells that produce insulin. But unlike synthetic insulin, this compound didn't just lower blood sugar. It actually restored the body's natural insulin sensitivity. It healed the underlying damage caused by years of insulin resistance. We ran test after test, animal studies, cell cultures, computer modeling. The data was undeniable. This plant compound was performing better than insulin in every metric we could measure. Lower blood sugar? Check. Reduced inflammation? Check. Weight loss? Check. Improved energy? Check. Fewer side effects? Absolutely. I was ecstatic. I thought we'd found the holy grail of diabetes treatment. That's when I made the biggest mistake of my career. I presented my findings to the board of directors. The meeting was held in a glass conference room on the 47th floor of our headquarters in Manhattan. 12 executives in $10,000 suits, a view of Central Park that probably cost more than most people's houses. I walked in with a 200-page research report and 3 years' worth of data. I was naive enough to believe they'd be thrilled. "Gentlemen," I said, clicking to my first slide, "I believe we've discovered the future of diabetes treatment." For the next hour, I walked them through everything: the historical use, the biochemical mechanism, the clinical potential. I showed them how this plant compound could replace insulin entirely, how it could be produced for pennies per dose, how it could eliminate the need for injections, blood glucose monitoring, and all the expensive medical infrastructure that diabetes currently requires. When I finished, the room was silent. Finally, the CEO leaned forward. "Dr. Carter," he said, "this is fascinating work, truly groundbreaking." I felt a surge of pride. Then he continued, "Which is exactly why it can never see the light of day." I thought I'd misheard him. "I'm sorry, sir?" "You've just described how to destroy a $41 billion industry overnight. You think we're going to do that?" Another executive chimed in, "Benjamin, insulin generates more revenue than our next 5 drugs combined. Why would we cannibalize our own success?" That's when it hit me. They weren't interested in curing diabetes. They were interested in managing it forever. Because a cured patient is a lost customer. The CEO stood up. "Dr. Carter, I want you to file this research under Code Black. No publications, no patents, no discussions with anyone outside this room." "But sir," I protested, "this could help millions of people. This could bankrupt us," he interrupted. "And if it bankrupts us, who's going to produce insulin for those millions of people?" He had a point. A twisted, morally bankrupt point, but a point nonetheless. "However," he continued, "I want you to continue your research, quietly. We need to understand exactly how these compounds work. Because if anyone else discovers this, we need to be ready." That's when I realized what was really happening. They weren't burying this research to protect their insulin business. They were stockpiling it as their insurance policy. If the insulin supply chain ever collapsed, if their factories were destroyed, if their monopoly was threatened, they had a backup plan ready to deploy, a natural alternative that they could produce cheaply, patent aggressively, and sell at whatever price they wanted. It was brilliant. And it was evil. For the next 3 years, I continued my research under Code Black. What I discovered during that time would reshape everything we know about blood sugar regulation. You see, most people think diabetes is simple. Your body doesn't make enough insulin, so you inject more insulin. But that's not the whole story. The real problem isn't insulin production, it's insulin resistance. Your cells stop responding to insulin properly. They become deaf to insulin signals, so your pancreas produces more and more insulin, trying to overcome this resistance until it eventually burns out. It's like shouting at someone who's wearing headphones. You can yell louder and louder, but they still can't hear you. The plant compounds I was studying didn't just mimic insulin. They actually restored cellular insulin sensitivity. They fixed the headphones problem. Here's how it works. Your cells have tiny gateway proteins called GLUT4 transporters. Think of them as doors that allow glucose to enter your cells. In healthy people, insulin acts like a key that opens these doors. But in diabetics, chronic inflammation and toxin exposure damage these transporters. The doors get stuck. The keys stop working. The plant compounds I discovered, particularly the ones found in bitter melon, Gymnema sylvestre, and banaba leaf, contain molecules that actually repair these damaged transporters. They don't just open the doors, they fix the doors. And once your cellular doors are working properly again, your body can use glucose efficiently. Blood sugar normalizes, insulin sensitivity returns, the whole system heals itself. It's not just symptom management, it's actual healing. But here's where the story gets interesting. In 2019, I was approached by a group of independent researchers who had somehow gotten wind of my work. They'd been conducting their own investigation into plant-based insulin alternatives. Turns out my former employer wasn't the only organization that knew about these compounds. Universities in Brazil, India, and China had been quietly publishing research on insulin mimetic plants for decades. The information was scattered across dozens of journals, written in multiple languages, but it was all pointing to the same conclusion. Nature had already solved the diabetes problem. We just needed to put the pieces together. That's when I made the decision that would change my life forever. I left my 6-figure job, signed a stack of non-disclosure agreements to avoid lawsuits, and joined this independent research team. Our mission was simple. Take the best insulin mimetic compounds from around the world, combine them into a single formula, and make it available to the public. We called it Insuleaf. Not because it's made from leaves, although some of the ingredients are, but because it allows your body to turn over a new leaf when it comes to blood sugar control. Let me walk you through the key ingredients we selected for Insuleaf and why each one is absolutely crucial for blood sugar regulation. Chromium, as chromium amino acid chelate, 76 milligrams. This essential trace mineral is perhaps the most important nutrient for blood sugar control. Chromium enhances insulin sensitivity and helps your cells absorb glucose more efficiently. Clinical studies show that chromium supplementation can reduce fasting glucose by up to 30% and improve insulin sensitivity by 40%. The amino acid chelate form we use is the most bioavailable, ensuring maximum absorption. Alpha-lipoic acid. This powerful antioxidant is often called the universal antioxidant because it works in both water and fat-soluble environments. But its real power lies in its ability to regenerate damaged insulin receptors. European studies have shown that alpha-lipoic acid can improve insulin sensitivity by up to 27%, while also protecting against diabetic nerve damage. Bitter melon extract, 4:1 concentration. Used in traditional medicine for centuries, bitter melon contains compounds that literally mimic insulin's action in the body. The active compounds, called charentines, can lower blood glucose as effectively as many pharmaceutical drugs. In clinical trials, bitter melon extract reduced fasting blood glucose by an average of 25% within 4 weeks. Gymnema sylvester leaf powder. Known as sugar destroyer in Hindi, this remarkable herb has the unique ability to block sugar absorption in the intestines while also regenerating pancreatic beta cells. Studies show that gymnema can reduce sugar absorption by up to 50% and help restore your body's natural insulin production capacity. Banaba leaf extract contains corosolic acid, which activates glucose transporters and enhances cellular glucose uptake. This Indonesian herb has been shown to reduce post-meal blood sugar spikes by up to 60%. Clinical trials demonstrate that banaba can lower blood glucose levels within 60 minutes of consumption. White mulberry leaf powder contains the compound DNJ1-deoxynogeremycin that blocks the enzymes responsible for breaking down complex carbohydrates into simple sugars. Japanese studies have shown that white mulberry leaf can reduce post-meal glucose levels by up to 50%, effectively preventing blood sugar spikes. Cinnamon bark powder, Ceylon variety. Not just any cinnamon. We use Ceylon cinnamon, which contains the highest concentration of active compounds. These compounds mimic insulin and increase glucose uptake by cells. Research shows that therapeutic doses of Ceylon cinnamon can reduce fasting glucose by 18 to 29% and improve insulin sensitivity by 24%. Guggul extract, standardized to 10% guggul sterones. This ancient Ayurvedic herb supports healthy metabolism and helps regulate glucose production in the liver. Guggul also helps reduce the chronic inflammation that contributes to insulin resistance. Licorice root extract, 4:1 concentration. Beyond its blood sugar benefits, licorice root contains compounds that reduce the chronic inflammation that contributes to insulin resistance. Studies have shown that licorice root can improve insulin sensitivity by up to 30% while also supporting healthy cortisol levels. Juniper berry powder contains powerful antioxidants that protect pancreatic beta cells from oxidative damage. Juniper also supports healthy kidney function, which is crucial for diabetics. Biotin, 315 micrograms, 1050% daily value. This B vitamin is essential for glucose metabolism. Biotin deficiency is common in diabetics and can worsen blood sugar control. The high-dose biotin in Insuleaf helps optimize glucose utilization. Plus, essential supporting nutrients. Magnesium, 125 milligrams. Required for over 300 enzymatic reactions involved in glucose metabolism. Zinc, 7.5 milligrams. Essential for insulin production and storage. Vitamin C, 52.5 milligrams. Antioxidant protection for blood vessels. Vitamin E, 15.75 milligrams. Protects against diabetic complications. Manganese, 1 milligram. Supports healthy glucose metabolism. Each of these ingredients is powerful on its own. But when combined in the precise ratios we've developed, they create a synergistic effect that's more powerful than the sum of its parts. Think of it like a symphony orchestra. Each instrument is beautiful alone, but together they create something transcendent. The results our users are experiencing speak for themselves.
I've been diabetic for 15 years. I was injecting insulin 4 times a day, checking my blood sugar constantly, and still couldn't get my levels under control. 3 weeks after starting Insuleaf, my morning glucose reading was 89. I hadn't seen a number that low since my 40s. My doctor was stunned. He asked what I was doing differently. When I told him about Insuleaf, he just shook his head and said, "Whatever it is, keep doing it." It's been 6 months now, and my A1C dropped from 9.2 to 6.1. I've lost 23 pounds without dieting, and I have more energy than I've had in decades. Insuleaf gave me my life back.
My doctor told me I was pre-diabetic and that I'd probably need medication within a year. My father died from diabetes complications, so I was terrified of going down that same path. I found Insuleaf online and figured I had nothing to lose. Within 2 weeks, my blood sugar readings were consistently in the normal range. My energy levels skyrocketed. I was sleeping better, thinking clearer, and even my wife noticed I wasn't as moody anymore. 6 months later, my doctor said my glucose tolerance test was completely normal. He said he'd never seen someone reverse pre-diabetes so quickly. I tell everyone I know about Insuleaf. It's literally a lifesaver.
I was spending over $400 a month on diabetes medication and testing supplies. The side effects were awful: nausea, headaches, constant fatigue. A friend told me about Insuleaf, and I was skeptical. I'd tried every supplement on the market with no results, but desperate times call for desperate measures. The first thing I noticed was that my post-meal blood sugar spikes disappeared. I could eat normally without seeing my glucose levels shoot up to 200 plus. Over the next few months, my fasting glucose dropped from 165 to 95. My doctor reduced my medication dosage, then eliminated it entirely. I've now been medication-free for 8 months. My last A1C was 5.8, perfectly normal, and I'm spending less than $60 a month on Insuleaf instead of $400 on drugs. The math alone makes this a no-brainer.
"20 years on the force, eating donuts and gas station food took its toll on my health. I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and told I'd need insulin for the rest of my life. The insulin made me gain weight, feel sluggish, and my mood was terrible. I felt like I was slowly dying. My daughter found Insuleaf and begged me to try it. I'd given up hope, but I didn't want to disappoint her. 2 months later, my doctor couldn't believe my lab results. My glucose levels were normal. My inflammation markers had dropped significantly. Even my blood pressure improved. He said in 30 years of practice he'd never seen such a dramatic turnaround. I'm now healthier at 58 than I was at 45. Insuleaf didn't just control my diabetes, it reversed it.
I was terrified I wouldn't live to see my grandchildren graduate. My blood sugar was so unstable that I was having frequent hypoglycemic episodes. I was afraid to drive, afraid to be alone. Insuleaf changed everything. My blood sugar stabilized within days. The fear disappeared. I started feeling human again, but the real miracle happened at my 3-month checkup. My doctor said my lab work looked like it belonged to someone 20 years younger. My A1C had dropped from 10.1 to 6.3. He asked if I'd been following some special diet or exercise program. When I told him it was just Insuleaf, he wrote down the name and said he was going to research it for his other patients. I'm now babysitting my grandkids again, traveling with my husband, and living the retirement I thought diabetes had stolen from me.
Here's the thing. Insuleaf isn't available in stores. You can't get it from your doctor. And you won't find the complete formula anywhere else online. That's because we're not a pharmaceutical company. We don't have massive marketing budgets or sales teams. We're a small group of researchers who are more interested in helping people than making profits. But that also means we can only produce limited quantities. Each batch of Insuleaf takes 6 to 8 weeks to manufacture. We have to source rare ingredients from around the world. Everything is tested for purity and potency. Each capsule is manufactured in a FDA-registered GMP-certified facility right here in the United States. Right now, we have enough inventory for the next 1,000 customers. After that, there will be a waiting list. But today, for the first time, we're making Insuleaf available to the public. And because I want to get this information into as many hands as possible, I'm offering a substantial discount from what this formula would normally cost. While most people spend hundreds of dollars each month on diabetes medication and testing supplies, Insuleaf costs a fraction of that amount. And here's where it gets even better. Because the research shows that Insuleaf becomes more effective the longer you use it, I'm encouraging you to stock up. The more bottles you order today, the more you save per bottle. And if you're serious about transforming your health, if you want to experience the same dramatic results as Julie, Mark, Angela, Carlos, and Brenda, I recommend our most popular package of 6 bottles, which is exactly what 95% of our customers select anyways. With our most popular package, you get significant savings per bottle, plus free shipping and 2 exclusive bonuses. Bonus number 1, the Blood Sugar Reset Protocol. This step-by-step guide shows you exactly how to optimize your results with Insuleaf. You'll learn which foods accelerate healing, which supplements enhance the formula's effects, and how to monitor your progress safely. Bonus number 2, 50 diabetes-friendly recipes. Delicious meals that support stable blood sugar without sacrificing taste. These aren't bland diabetic foods, they're restaurant-quality dishes that happen to be perfect for blood sugar control. These bonuses alone are incredibly valuable, but they're yours free when you choose one of our multi-bottle packages. I know what some of you might be thinking. Dr. Carter, this sounds too good to be true. If these plant compounds are so effective, why isn't everyone using them? That's exactly what Big Pharma is counting on you to think. They've spent decades conditioning us to believe that only expensive pharmaceuticals can solve serious health problems. They want you to think that anything natural must be weak or ineffective. But remember, over 70% of all pharmaceuticals originally came from plants. Aspirin from willow bark, digitalis from foxglove, metformin from French lilac. The only difference is that pharmaceutical companies isolate single compounds, modify them slightly so they can be patented, then sell them for thousands of times their production cost. Insuleaf contains the whole plant compounds, the way nature intended them to work. You might also be wondering about safety. What about side effects? Here's the thing. Every ingredient in Insuleaf has been used safely for hundreds or thousands of years. Unlike synthetic drugs, these compounds work with your body's natural processes, not against them. The most common side effects people report are increased energy, better sleep, and improved mood. Not exactly what you'd call problems. And yes, you might be concerned about taking Insuleaf alongside your current medication. That's actually a smart question. While Insuleaf is completely natural, it can be very effective. So if you're currently taking blood sugar medication, you'll want to monitor your levels closely and work with your doctor. Many of our customers find they need less medication over time. Some are able to eliminate it entirely under medical supervision. But never stop taking prescribed medication without your doctor's approval. What if it doesn't work for me? Look, I've seen the research. I've seen the results in real people. I know how effective these compounds are, but I also understand that everybody is different. What works for 95% of people might not work for you. That's why every bottle of Insuleaf comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee. If you don't see significant improvements in your blood sugar control, energy levels, or overall health within 60 days, simply return the bottles, even if they're empty, for a full refund. No questions asked, no forms to fill out, no hassles. You'll get every penny back, and we'll part as friends. I can offer this guarantee because I've seen what Insuleaf can do. But more importantly, I want to remove every possible barrier between you and the life-changing benefits of this formula. You might be wondering, How do I know this isn't just another underdosed and overhyped supplement? Because you can't find these ingredients anywhere else, not in this combination, not in these concentrations, not sourced from the same regions where they've been proven effective for thousands of years. Most blood sugar supplements contain a sprinkle of cinnamon and chromium and call it a day. Insuleaf contains the exact same compounds that Big Pharma has been secretly researching, the ones they're stockpiling as their backup plan. Most blood sugar supplements are like firecrackers. Insuleaf is dynamite. They might look similar, but the power level isn't even comparable. And if you're worried about the investment, remember this. Most people spend more in a single month on diabetes medication and testing supplies than a full 6-month supply of Insuleaf costs. Think about what you're spending right now. Add up your monthly medication costs, test strips, doctor visits, and potential complications. Insuleaf isn't an expense. It's an investment that could save you thousands of dollars and years of your life. But time is running out. Here's what I need you to understand. Right now, you have access to the exact same formula that Big Pharma executives have been secretly stockpiling for their own families. The same compounds they've been researching in their black budget labs. The same natural insulin alternative they plan to control and monopolize. But I've just handed you the keys to their vault. The question is, what are you going to do with this information? You could close this presentation and go back to your normal routine. Keep taking expensive medications. Keep dealing with side effects. Keep living in fear of blood sugar spikes and long-term complications. Or you could take the same action that Julie, Mark, Angela, Carlos, and Brenda took. You could claim your supply of Insuleaf while it's still available. Because here's the reality. We can only produce very limited quantities per batch. Each batch takes 6 to 8 weeks to manufacture because we have to source these rare ingredients from their original regions around the world. The Gymnema sylvester from India, the bitter melon from specific regions of Asia, the specialized extraction processes that preserve the bioactive compounds. This isn't something we can just whip up in a weekend. Most of our customers know that and order 6 or more months' supply for this very reason. And based on the amazing response we've gotten since launching Insuleaf, I can tell you that we're going to move through our available inventory fast, as we always do. Every hour you wait, more bottles are claimed by people who understand the value of what they're getting. People who recognize that this is their chance to access Big Pharma's backup plan and finally make a long-lasting change to their lives. So let me ask you directly, 6 months from now, where do you want to be? Do you want to be in the same place you are right now? Same blood sugar struggles? Same medication expenses? Same worry about your future health? Or do you want to be experiencing the kind of transformation that our customers write to us about every day? Stable blood sugar, abundant energy, freedom from constant medical monitoring. The choice is entirely yours. But if you choose transformation, you need to act while Insuleaf is still available in our current batch. Remember, you're protected by our 60-day money-back guarantee. If you don't experience the kind of results I've described, simply return the bottles for a full refund. The only risk is waiting too long and having to wait 6 to 8 weeks for our next batch to be ready. And honestly, after spending 3 years developing this formula, after seeing the results in thousands of people, I can tell you this. The people who transform their health are the ones who take action. Not the ones who wait for the perfect moment. Not the ones who overthink every decision. The ones who recognize opportunity and seize it. So if you're ready to join the thousands of people who have already discovered what it feels like to have their blood sugar under control naturally, claim your own supply of Insuleaf right now. Your future self is counting on you to make the right decision. Don't let yourself down. Scroll down the page, act now, and order the most popular package.